Ex-employees at Malaysian provider sue Kimberly Ansell over alleged labor abuse. Kuala Lumpur. Former workers at Malaysian rubber glove maker Brightway Holdings filed a lawsuit inside the United States against Kimberly Corp. NYSE, KMB, and Ansell Limited, accusing them of knowingly profiting from the alleged use of compelled labor on the supplier, consistent with the complaints seen by the employees. All Bangladeshi citizens say Kimberly and Ansell have been aware of the alleged labor abuses via public reports on Brightway and different Malaysian glove makers, and violations located by labor audits, in step with the criticism filed late on Tuesday in the United States. Kimberly did not straight away respond to a request for remark outside of regular U.S. employer hours. Ansell and Brightway mentioned they did not have an immediate remark. Malaysia, which depends on hundreds of thousands of migrant people from South Asian countries, has faced allegations of exploitation throughout key export-oriented industries over time. 8 Malaysian firms, including 6 glove makers, had been banned by the U.S. within the final 3 years. In the lawsuit filed late on Tuesday inside the United States, the 13 former Brightway workers say they paid high recruitment expenses to middlemen that ended in debt bondage, labored long hours with few or no rest days, and had their passports taken by way of the business enterprise. They are in search of damages from Kimberly a U.S. personal care business that owns the Kleenex emblem, and Australian non-public protective equipment dealer Ansell inside the Federal District Court for the District of Columbia. These companies can't deny that they know how of pressured labor at Brightway, said Terence Killingsworth, a legal professional from International Rights Advocates representing the people. Killingsworth mentioned he had first proposed mediation with Kimberly and Ansell to acquire compensation for the workers, however each groups declined. The United States banned Brightway products from getting into the U.S.A. in December 2021 over suspected forced labor practices, announcing it had found 10 of 11 International Labor Organization signs of compelled labor. Allegations of misconduct at Brightway have been public for as a minimum 12 months before that. In December 2020, Malaysian officials found Brightway workers living in delivery containers, and a minister likened the squalid situations as cutting-edge slavery, after a raid suggested in May 2021 that labor audits of Brightway had designated 61 violations of global ethical requirements and 50 violations of Malaysian labor laws, even though the auditors concluded that they did no longer locate forced labor. Ansell informed at the time that the audits, whilst it inspected them, had discovered several non-compliances with labor requirements. Both agencies then mentioned Brightway had constant some of those troubles because the government raid in December. Buyers together with Kimberly and Ansell use labor audits to display their supply chain. Andy Hall, an impartial labor activist who has investigated Brightway, mentioned factories ought to now not be the only gamers penalized for labor violations. Brands and customers fail to comply with their stated commitments to conduct more due diligence to prevent modern-day slavery situations. We want remediation from them too, and from investors and public procurers, Hall mentioned.